Hello again. This is me adding my contribution to the Adulting Decrypted YouTube channel. And I thought, what easier content than reactions? No, it's low-hanging fruit, but I thought it would be good to react to a video that I just stumbled across. And I thought it would be fun to see what's going on. The video we're reacting to today is Older People Give Life Advice by Dose of Society. It seemed like a good idea to get advice, and I mean, that's really the whole point of our podcast, is to give advice. And so I was interested to see what older adults had to say. So let's see what they got.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
I'll answer this question first. Advice I would give to my younger self: don't judge yourself too harshly. Actually, I'd probably leave it at that. I often think about creating. Hence partly this, honestly. But I write music in my own time. And I remember I know we're only 2 seconds in, but I remember a guy when I was probably a sophomore. It was like my first year of high school. And there was a kid, I remember his name, I'm not going to name drop him, but he was a senior. And I remember he was really, really good at piano. Like, he was crazy good. And he would write his own music, and he would share it, play it for us, and it was really cool. But I remember one of his big things is he would always tell me, and I'm sure others, but I just remember him telling me, you'll never be able to write like this. And it's interesting because I don't know how much of a drive I had back then to write. I think it was still, strong. But something about that message stood out to me still of, maybe I won't be as good. And the advice there is it doesn't matter. Like, if it's fun and if it brings you joy, just do it. Who cares? Easier said than done, though, for sure. Once you bring in your self-criticism, other critics, you bring in, the difficulty. It's not easy to do what you love to do, but yeah. Don't be afraid to judge it. Send it anyway. But anyway, let's see what all these other people have to say.
Be scared. Make the hard decisions.
Don't worry yourself about things that might never happen.
Ooh, I like that one. I'm really bad at I'm really bad at that. There's full-on conversations I've avoided because I was worried that they were going to go poorly, and then they were fine.
What makes you say that?
Because I spend my whole life doing it.
And
that's where advice comes from.
Well, why is that important? Why would that be?
You waste emotional energy. You're wasting time on something that A, might not happen, and B, you can't change anyway.
Yeah, so true. So then, what would you say to young people that are literally struggling with that right now, and maybe they're watching?
Try not to worry about anything that you can't change.
I like how blunt she is with it too. She's right, but it's like, I think it's the reason it's advice is because it's easier said than done. But the more it's said, the more you remember. So
other things that they could do that might improve their lives in other ways, but don't waste time worrying about something that you cannot change.
That's important too. She basically just saying, still try and change, but if you can't change it, don't let it ruin your day.
Others and let my beauty shine.
Oh, I like that. That's cool.
You had any problem with that?
Well, we all do, right? And we all want to make sure that we can give our best selves to everyone and let our inner selves shine.
Don't be so afraid.
Have you been afraid of something that you needed to overcome?
I'm digging this dude's follow-up questions. It's cool.
Sure. Plenty of times where there's an opportunity that came up and you think about it and you think about it and then you're like, oh, okay, maybe next time. And you put it away for a way, and then you think later like, oh, I really should have done that. I really should have gone there.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talk about it as FOMO now. Like, the other thing I think is important about regret is you're going to have it no matter what you do. But at the same time, like, most people you ask, like, if you had to go back in time, would you change anything about your life? Most people say no, but they have regrets, and they often say they learned something from them. But I think that other one's valuable too, like, because a lot of times when you have an opportunity that comes up, either you never get it again, or you get it again later, and you do it, and you realize you could have done it the first time. So why not do it the first time if it's something you really want to do?
The opportunity that you have for your future. Because as a teenager I had a very simple, boring life, and then I had the chance to go to Japan, and it changed my life.
Don't get so caught up
She seems like she's seen things. She seems like she'd be really fun to hang out with.
in things. Don't get so worried. Have fun. Have a little fun.
And why would you say that?
Because we're all going to die eventually. You don't want to spend your whole time worried and fretful and anxious about this or that.
You can tell this guy shoots
seize
straight
the moment.
all the time.
Say yes more often. And don't always say no. And don't always think things over too much. Oh, well, I think there's been times when I haven't seized opportunities. I've been too cautious.
A lot of similar motifs happening. A lot of seize the moment. A lot of don't wait. It's interesting. Because if they're giving advice, you know, advice comes from either you've done it or you really haven't. And these people don't seem like they're in rough positions. So it's just, it'd be interesting to sit with them and talk with them deeper about, you know, what led them to that specific advice. Like, they're giving us reasons, but full-on stories I think would be cool too.
Whereas now, I sort of feel like that was a bit silly. I should have gone for it more. I don't regret things, but...
Boom. See? She said she didn't regret it. But...
It's just what I would say, I think.
Now I realise over my life I've probably not done things because too worried about what might happen and might not, whereas really, you know, just go for it.
Probably to take...
A quote I love is, and it comes from my dad. He said it on the podcast for sure, but the paralysis of analysis. You can only analyze something for so long. They could only do the math about going to the moon for so long. At some point, you have to actually do it and figure out what's actually going on. So, it's a big theme, big motif here.
my time and to explore and not be afraid to explore and adventure and those things that maybe I think were too big to go ahead and to try. To just.
I like how she started it with take her time. Like, most of the people are like, oh yeah, jump on it, get it, do that new thing. But she's saying the same thing, but she's talking about taking her time with it. And I think there's some value with that too. You know, it's not analysis paralysis at that point, but it's being methodical. I think it's different.
Sometimes fear can hold us back, and when we're younger, like on one side of it we can be fearless, but on the other side of it, with fears of the unknown or fears of different, and change can be intimidating. Ask yourself why you're afraid. Ask yourself where that fear is coming from, and then begin to investigate that and press forward into it. And if you need to make a change, make a change. If you need to step in another direction, then step in another direction. But don't let it hold you back from following and chasing your dreams.
That's a hard one. I mean, I've been going through some things recently that have made me question how I'm doing what I'm doing, if I'm doing it the right way, etc., etc. And a lot of times, like, it just gives me anxiety. Might not be the right word, but that's what I'm going to use. Of just life, anxiety of things, anxiety of success, of wanting success. I'm not getting anxious because I'm successful. Rather the fear of the opposite, if you will. But she's talking about writing down the specific pinpoints of fear. Like, I know I'll avoid conversations or situations where I'll have to endure confrontation. And it's not even saying that confrontation will actually happen. Like, that's not the fear. The fear is that it might. I've been in situations, I think most of us have, that confrontation is guaranteed to happen, but like, that's a lot of where I've realized some of my fear comes from. But then, you can get deeper and analyze it. Is confrontation actually going to happen? Why do I think confrontation is going to happen? Or, like, I relate a lot of this stuff through teaching music because it's subject material I feel more comfortable talking about, but I can share the feelings in the same way. Where when we teach music, if something's not clicking, we'll identify a very specific skill set in order to fix it. And so in life, if I'm avoiding confrontation, I'll go and maybe highlight starting conversations, or go and highlight problem solving to try and overcome that fear of confrontation. But anyway, that's really good advice. I'd be interested to know, you, the watcher, what advice you have for me. I will take all of it, unless it's bad. No, but genuinely, I think it'd be fun to hear the advice of the people. I think we're stronger in numbers, and I think every person has something that we can all learn from each other, with. I don't know. Don't be afraid to learn something new from somebody today. Anyway, thanks for checking us out at Adulting Decrypted.